Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. To this day.
Nino Brown Boxing, and I'm back in the building. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. So Gary Russell Jr. sets the fucking record straight. And if you don't know, basically the situation is Gary Russell, he challenged Terrence Crawford. There was some beef about some shit that happened back in the day in the amateurs. And fast forward a couple of weeks, Gary Russell said that he'll face Terrence Crawford for $1.5 million. Then Devin Haney, he inserts himself into the situation and say, hey, I'll fight you for the 1.5. Gary Russell responded and said, no, I want to fight you for $2 million. With the shit that I got going on with Terrence Crawford, it's personal, and this with you is business. So I want $2 million. Now, Devin Haney, he responds to that basically by saying the new way, he put it on Twitter actually. He said, the new way of ducking is overpricing yourself. Well, Gary Russell Jr., my bad, Mr. Gary Russell Jr., he got wind of the tweet. He got wind of these ducking accusations, and he wanted to set the record straight. And as of now, Gary Russell has said, fuck the bullshit. Tell Eddie Hearn to send the $1.5 million offer because he's going to beat his little ass. Plain and simple. He also wanted to clear things up and put things into perspective for the fans that may be unaware. Gary said he spoke to Al Heyman about it. Al Heyman informed Gary that if these guys are serious about fighting you, tell them to send you the contract. Because Gary, you're the challenger. Devin Haney's the champion. So the champion, they come up with the funds and then they make the fight happen. And Gary Russell, he proceeds to say in his video, if the fight does not happen, then we know what time it is. Devin Haney has said on record, he's already put out there that he's willing to face Gary Russell for the $1.5 million. And Gary Russell responded and said, okay, you want to say I'm ducking, send a contract, $1.5 million, and we got to fight. So right now, the only thing we got to do is wait to see if Eddie Hearn and Devin Haney, if they're on board, if they're going to send a contract for $1.5 million to Gary Russell. Guess what? We got a motherfucking fight, and I'm all for it. You know who I'm riding with. I'm riding with my DMV native, Mr. Gary Russell Jr. He said he gonna beat shorty little ass, and that's just what it's gonna be. So I'm just gonna sit back and I'm gonna wait for it. But the thing that I found very interesting is this, though. I found it to be very interesting when Gary Russell said that he will face Devin Haney for $2 million. People started to go on the side of, oh, Gary Russell's ducking, or Gary Russell's changing his tune. But the same energy wasn't kept when people were willing to take less money in other fights. But when it came to them facing Crawford, everybody wanted the bag thrown at them. People didn't keep it consistent and say, well, you fought this person and that person for less than the money that you are willing to face Crawford for. But we know how that shit go. Gary Russell said, fuck the bullshit. He'll take the $1.5 million. All I can say, let's make the fight happen and let's see what happens. I'm riding with my man Gary Russell due to the speed and the overall experience. I feel like me personally, I haven't seen Devin Haney against the caliber opponent that would tell me that he's ready for Gary Russell. Yes, Devin Haney, he looks phenomenal in his fights, but at the end of the day, he's young in this sport and he's very inexperienced at a professional level. Gary Russell is currently the longest reigning champion in boxing right now. So all I can say is Devin Haney, the Zone, Eddie Hearn, send my man the contract. It's plain and simple. We're going to see how this shit play out. At this point in time, it really doesn't matter who the fuck you think going to win. It matters that this is a possible chance for us to have a big fight, and we haven't really had many big fights. I mean, obviously due to the pandemic and all. So we'll see how things play out. It's Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC, and I'm out.